That's good.
How are you guys?
Hey, Tom. Hey.
Do you know? I'm not
Yeah.
sure if you know your Twitter account.
Yeah, I deactivated it. I did it on
Is
purpose.
that what happened? Oh, okay.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah,
Okay.
oh, yeah. I did that on purpose. I just it's
Okay.
like because
Well,
I saw Sarah tweeting about like like all these people like being bugged or it's like, and I said just fuck this, and I just like
okay. I just wanted to make sure because I
fuck
didn't
it.
know you did that, and I was, I'm like, oh no, her account's gone, and does she even know this? And then I dug up the number to get in here. Luckily, it was the same number to get in here, whatever that code is.
I will email it to you, man. I have your email.
Oh
so.
no, I have it. I have it. I just thought something happened that you didn't. You couldn't get on, or we couldn't get a hold of you. I didn't know. So I'm glad it's all on purpose.
I knew. That's why I cried like a little baby when I hit it and it was gone.
And you were saying that too, and I didn't pick up on it.
Yeah, I got to get your email too, Tom, because
Okay.
I'll be gone by the weekend.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess it is coming. Time is coming, and look, I'm not planning on leaving or going. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing.
Well, you saw I'm sending people to you.
I wanted to say thank you for that. Yes, I did see that. I looked and I'm like, how did I get all these people? Because nobody follows me. Nobody sees me. You know what I mean? Nobody can find me. And then I realized that you were doing that. So thank you so much. I mean, like I said, I'm going to stay.
Thank you for staying out there. I mean,
no, you're welcome.
Your neck. They are subpoenaing people.
Yeah.
It has begun.
I don't know. I don't argue with people. I really don't converse with people, except for people that I know. And I just feel like I like to post whatever articles, videos that I want. And I'm going to kind of do it until, like you said, if no one's there and it's a waste of time, I'm not just going to keep doing it,
Well, we need people to stay out there. And I haven't, I know this account's dead. I'm thinking about, if you want to go ahead and start, Lisa, you can.
Oh, yeah, I haven't recorded yet. So are you ready to record?
Yep.
You guys?
Yep. Yeah. All set.
Okay, recording. Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
So, what were you guys saying about leaving over the next few days?
Okay. Lisa's already gone. She's disconnected. Can't talk. Her account. And I'll be going in the next few days. What happened to really nail the hammer for us was this quote by Maddie Kuthumi on Twitter, which says they are subpoenaing people for their DMs and basically it's begun. He's been served.
Right.
Papers. This man, Raymond Johansson.
And what was he actually accused of? Like what?
It's so vague, and that's what scares me about Twitter. Their ways of coming at you are so vague. Mm-hmm. It says the plaintiff contain the words rapist, predator, serial. So they could have just been talking about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're saying it has something to do with the Me Too movement, to where it's just an open war. And I had warned people about going after the smaller pedos. The way that they work is that they turn it on you. They will make you become that which they are. That's how they work, inversion.
Mm-hmm.
They showed that on the last season of the X-Files. And it's a means of the enemy using persecuting people for that which they are, and doing it to innocent people.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's just, I'm still, everybody has to make their own decision.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and it's unfortunate that this is the turn it's taken, but I don't know. For me, like I said, I'm going to keep posting videos that I.
Well, one thing with you, Tom, is they've already robbed you.
Yeah.
You already lost your huge account.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. It would be easy for you to go back at this point, and you might want to do that if you have some you're kind of about delete before coming into the new terms of service.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I don't have much.
that have, I've got 115,000 plus tweets. It's not
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you can't go through all of those.
So I'm thinking, my thoughts are I may open an account with another email
Mhm.
and ghost.
Gotcha.
Follow no one, you know what I mean? And that way I don't lose the information that comes through there.
Right. Right. No, that makes sense, and in reality, like you said, I guess as annoyed as I have been about losing my account, I guess it does work out in a way that I can, I don't have to go through 100,000 tweets. I can, like you said, maybe look at it. And like I said, the bum of
Yeah.
it is I don't, I haven't been on much because I just don't feel like, because my Periscope was attached to that. So that other account. So it won't
Yeah,
let me.
and you were getting a lot of views.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And it won't let me disconnect it because it's my primary account, it says. So it's stuck there, so I can't even move it to this one. I have to do it manually. I do post it, but maybe it's for the better, like you said,
Yeah.
because I don't want to go anywhere, to be honest. I enjoy putting information out there and, certain whatever videos I come across that day that I think somebody might enjoy or whatever it is. Um, So we'll see what happens. It's going to be an interesting year.
It is in
Oh, yes.
more ways than one.
So, not to get off topic, but I happened to see this morning some stupid tweet from the current moron in charge of the country that what was he claiming that Iran and Russia and all these people are costing all of these lives and completely, like you said, inversion of what's actually going on in the Middle East and selling these wars to people. And again, this is where I don't understand, where people can't connect, that the whole point and platform of his running was to stop all of these wars. And he knows it's all bullshit. And he says these words, and people just claim 4D chess and, all of this stupid stuff. And, all of it's continuing, all kind of bombings.
And I agree. But I also don't want people to think that the elite of those countries are any better.
Oh, no. They all play the good guys and bad guys,
Exactly, which is what I was talking to somebody about on Twitter today. And they're like, well, this, that, and the other about those. There is no good guy in it.
Nope. Not in that entire system.
No.
So true.
No.
It is, and it's sad that people can't really realize that I'd say they're smart enough, but it's really not that genius of an idea if you think about it. It's kind of they have board games where they do the same thing, in this day and age, and video games and like.
Yeah, and the whole thing too is, they're demonizing the U.S. to a point. That's a setup too.
Yep, absolutely.
So watch that, because yes, we're the military arm of the world order. You have the Vatican City, that's the religious arm. You have London, that's, well, what are they? Money. And we're military. So, when you understand that, then if people don't understand that, then they're playing the game.
Exactly. And you can see how they've set up, like you said, using our military as the, aggressors. And then here, if you speak out against it, that means you're, not patriotic and don't support, you know what I mean? And now you don't love your freedoms and love those, like all of that propagandic nonsense.
There's a great quote about the from one of the Nazis about that. I forget I forget who said that though, but that rings a bell.
Mm-hmm.
1 second. Keep on talking. I'll see if I can find that.
Yeah, well, oddly enough, it's the same exact gameplay, and they're just, the rest of the world sees a lot of the aggression and blames the U.S., and it's just a complete setup to not only tear it down in people's minds, but right along with it, using the military and the petrodollar to destroy the entire dollar itself and economy itself. I mean, they're just tearing this country apart in so many different ways. And
Well, and not just the country too, the world,
yeah,
because Saudi Arabia, people pay attention. That's your money. They were the oil barons. They have so much money.
mhm,
And now they're divesting from oil, and guess what they're investing in? Tech,
yeah,
AI.
yeah.
What just came out Christmas Eve, next gov. There's a clue. Next gov. What would be our next gov? All right, go ahead, Lisa.
Oh yeah, it's right here. So.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, it's right. You see my
You
screen.
have to read it, baby.
Oh, okay. Naturally, the common people don't want war, neither in Russia, nor in England, nor in America, nor for that matter in Germany. That is understood. But the people can always be brought to the bidding of their leaders. That is easy. All you have to do is tell them they're being attacked and denounce the pacifists for lack of patriotism and exposing the country to danger. It works the same way in any country. And they say it's attributed to Hermann Goring during the Nuremberg trials. And
Mhm.
I'm probably butchering his name. But,
Yeah,
No,
and
you got it.
okay.
and the Nuremberg trials, that's another thing they're looking to invert, because what I sense is them coming into countries now that they have knowingly allowed countries to hurt their citizens. And now they're going to use that as an excuse for the UN to invade our countries. So it's
Mhm.
just all a huge inversion and setup.
Yeah, yeah, it really is. And
Meanwhile, they announced on Christmas Eve Skynet.
what I missed it. What did they?
Skynet. Let's see if I'll share it with you guys. But
fun.
yeah.
I mean, besides the 6,000 5G commercials I was, privy to over the past 2 days, I don't know.
Tom, I was driving past in Chicago. I drove past a huge 5G billboard from Verizon, and I gave it a big Stone Cold salute.
Yes, I hear you.
So you guys see this: laser link satellites may soon deliver internet from space. People in Michigan are seeing them. The link satellites is like line lights. 5G will be run by AI. And that was from Next Gov. So what is the Next Gov? Follow that site on Twitter, Tom. Watch them.
Yeah,
oh yeah, they have a lot of interesting stories. Yeah, they do.
Pretty check mark, I see.
This guy shared on Christmas Day that he's 5G ready in rural America. So there's your power grid that I was telling you about, because we know by the nature of how that tech works, they don't have those towers every so many feet here.
Right.
So people really need to ask themselves how that's happening, and how effective is Skynet already.
Yeah.
So, see, what else was I wanting to share with you guys?
So they're calling some things 5G here that aren't quite 5G yet. They're kind of working it in so that it comes in just through things like the cable, and people get used to the name, but it's not a 5G connection yet. They're just kind of.
Well, that doesn't mean, however, that we aren't exposed to 5G. I don't have to allow for it to be operational. And a lot of people don't have a phone with a chipset that will work at 5G. So we can be exposed to 5G without having access to it. That's one thing people might want to think about.
And that makes sense with all the towers going up around here. I'm sure they're not sitting dormant,
And also, Trump announces his pick for the National Science Foundation and CISA, and the guy is fully into the ubiquitous
Bio IoT.
Yes. And it's ubiquitous computing. And it's computer science where computing is made to appear anytime and everywhere. In contrast to desktop computing, ubiquitous computing can occur using any device, any location, and in any format. This paradigm is also described as pervasive computing, ambient intelligence, or everywhere, spelled WARE. Okay, so these are things
Will's
that
knocking
can
at the door.
think.
Can you let him in?
So this is when your wall can think. And that's what they've done with the smart mesh that they put out, the smart dust. And I'm telling you guys, we're hacked.
Well, speaking of which, the past few days they have sprayed us to death.
Sorry to interrupt you, Tom. Sarah, one thing regarding that, there's also a term called ambient computing, or something like
Yes.
AMBIENT computing.
Yes.
So, but go ahead, Tom. So it's related to that.
That was listed in there, Lisa. Okay. And also the ambient is energy as well. That's your inverted free energy tech. That's where they're instead, with in my understanding, with Tesla tech, with how the pyramids work, it pulled energy out of the ground and released it into the air. Okay, well, this is working backwards because your AI is a zero, gosh, I can't think of the term right.
The 0 point energy?
Basically, yes. It no waste. Everything will be it, but it's pulling from. And I don't know. Have you seen The Dark Crystal, the first episode yet?
I think I downloaded the old movie. Is that on Netflix?
No, it's a new series.
It's on Netflix. Okay, I'll have to subscribe to Netflix.
Brand new.
Okay.
The first episode, I told everybody to go watch it. They tell exactly what is going on, down to the Dark Lords that are in control of everything, the Archons, and how basically the trees have been holding this evil at bay in their root systems. And that's why we're seeing the amount of attack we are on our natural world.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, what it does is says they can no longer eat. Remember, you guys, they were eating our louche, right?
Yeah.
And that was feeding them and keeping them immortal. Well, for them to become physical here, it takes that much more energy to create the false grid. We know the smart cities aren't green.
True.
No.
Right. No, it's the opposite of green.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a joke, and a really bad joke. So what it's doing is it's pulling all of our pineal gland is actually a crystal. And when it's compressed with this mechanical resonance that's coming from the towers, the 5G, the Tesla towers, it's a mix. And all of it coming together, and it's pressing on us. It releases what's known as blue light.
Okay. Yeah.
What that is we're slowly being drained dry. Okay. We're of our soul essence. So if your life force leaves, even in slow increments, you're going to start to have disease. You get me?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it showed in this. So it's an absolutely inverted tech, and they're selling this ambient energy, lower your power bill to $10 a month. Okay. But it's eating you.
Mm-hmm.
That's the weird part. And I highly suggest that everybody go watch that because they tell it in very plain terms. And it's easy to understand.
No, I'll watch it.
Don't have time to, really research the tech and stuff. It's involved. That's one way they've gotten away with this is you undereducate your public,
Mhm.
and then you work at a level that's above their level of comprehension.
Mhm. Yep.
Yep.
Yep. That sounds interesting, though. The Dark Crystal, it's called, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I do remember that movie that you were talking about, Lisa. So,
And I haven't even watched the whole series. I think pretty much they hit it, they nailed it in that one series and at that one episode. And at the very end, the Seki or whatever, I think that's what they call them, archons, the one Gelfling sees what they're doing and how they're pulling it out of her. And they actually kill her really fast. And that's the one thing people don't, just because you're not dropping dead doesn't mean your soul essence isn't going out. It's just being done slowly. So he says, "Oh, he's seen us," and the other one looks at him and says, "Oh, don't worry. He'll tell the others, and they won't believe him." And that's what we're facing.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
You know, not even on that level, but on all the levels of everything we're trying to tell them. They can't hear us because, and he says this, to say that that what we're saying is right, they have to admit they're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we've been telling people that for years, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what is it? Cognitive dissonance. And you have to have that dark night of the soul where you admit to yourself that everything you thought you knew, you didn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So true. You do.
Especially, what did we just pass? How much of that tech ended up now over the past couple of days? Bought, purchased, given as gifts, just little stupid things that are bringing us more and more, and people, they don't want to give that stuff up, you know. Realizing all of this means giving all that stuff up. and not advancing with this wireless, you know, I mean, like I said, how many times were we bombarded with the little bit of TV I was around was nothing but 5G, smart cars, you know, I mean, solar, you know, smart meter, this, like every commercial, and it's just the same ones over and over and over. It's just, I wonder, you know, how many people really, you know, have accepted all these gifts, and they got the Fitbits and the smartwatches and the, you know, they.
Yeah, I had a girl tell me that she was given one, and she said her look on her aunt's face was just, she knew that she, you know, she couldn't hide the fact that she was just disgusted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She would never wear it.
No.
And that same girl told me today, this is interesting. Her uncle in the US here on Christmas Day said his brain hurt. He had the flu, and he also had one of those heart things they put in to, like if you have arrhythmia, it can mildly shock your heart.
Okay.
Defibrillator. Defibrillator. Yeah.
So he had one of those, and he told his wife his brain hurt, walked outside, said he was going to feed the cat, and died.
Yeah, you know, that's like you said, everything working that way electrically. The body works electrically, and now they want to bring this.
And the thing is all of this is so underhanded that you can't just point and go, "Oh, that's what did it."
Mm-hmm.
That's what's so genius about it. They'll be able to call the population, and no finger can be pointed because it won't be obvious.
Right. I mean, look at how many people just have to and have to suffer and die over vaccines, and people still won't get it. So, you know, it's amazing that you know how much people will deny these kinds of things, just, you know, to
maintain the illusion.
Yeah, exactly, you know. It is. It's, you know, the holidays for me are always eye opening because I like I like being around.
No, it's true. It's true.
It is, because, you know, people you don't see. I like to be able to speak, and you know, when I hear their nonsense, speak out. You know what I mean? Plant whatever seeds, and I don't really, you know, I care who likes it and doesn't like it. You know, eventually the seed may sprout. You know, but
Tom uses it as a wake up session.
Yeah, I do, because you could. I try.
got you all in the same room. Damn it, you will listen.
Yeah, and it's not that I go around preaching. It's just that when I hear something,
Right.
if somebody says something about, I don't know, politics, religion, anything, I just kind of throw out there, you know what I mean, and then go into whatever. In fact, that's why I got to leave at 5 o'clock tonight. I'm going out tonight to see people I haven't seen. I'm going over to Philly, and
Oh, cool.
yeah, a lot of my birthday's tomorrow. That's really not why I'm doing it.
Happy
Happy
birthday.
Oh,
birthday.
You want me to
thank
sing to you,
you.
Tom?
No, that's okay. I'm getting
Okay.
old, but thank you.
That'll be
Um,
our present. We won't sing.
but I'm going. I really don't. I'm kind of comfortable. I'd like to, relax tonight. But I'm going because there's this band that's playing. They're 13 and 14-year-old kids, and they're playing, at one of the bars over in Philly. They're going to let them play early, and they're playing like old classic rock, and they're. I don't see this stuff anymore. This is kind of what I grew up around my
That's
whole
great.
life.
Yeah.
It is, and I want to encourage them. I want to support them. I want to meet them. I want to talk to them. You know what I mean? So my friends and I all love that stuff. And you know how we met them? A friend of mine rides in a club, and they were doing a Toys for Tots, and these kids got up on the stage at the event and just blew everyone away. And so they set up for them to come down and play at our neighborhood bar, even though I live an hour and a half away, but it's where I grew up.
You go have a good birthday.
Yeah. So, and I just, I think that creative aspect is what's missing in the world, period, and kids. And if we can just get it going, that spark somehow, um, and
Yeah.
keep them engaged in this kind of stuff. That's how I woke up young, music,
You might want to mention to them, about the how rock and roll was used to mind control an entire generation.
Well, absolutely. But see, that's the thing. To me, music is subjective. And once you see that entire angle, you can, I can listen to all that music and see what they're actually saying, what the allegories are, and just like a movie, where the poison pills are in
Well,
the song,
I hate to tell you this, Tom, but I did a lot of research on it, and it was actually concerts were a way they harvested energy before this new thing that's coming.
I'm sure concerts, sporting events,
Yeah,
everything,
yeah,
Um,
sure did. But I mean, going to something like that is different than going to see a major headliner that's
no, this is a
created at Tavistock.
Yeah, no, this is a small local bar of all neighborhood people that get together. You know what I mean?
We'll have a good time.
Exactly, and look, I've always, to me, music has always been a thing that,
That
if
was
you
the
if
hardest thing for me to give up, Tom.
and if you look at some of these bands too, you can see where they've been co-opted. See, a lot of the music I liked was
Yeah.
underground, and it wasn't radio
Well,
music, and then became it.
I was a Grateful Dead person, and
Yeah.
the band Fish, and you think you're going against culture, and really you're just caught in a different net.
Yeah, I'm a Pink Floyd guy myself, so I get that. You know what I mean? Once you realize all of it, because it's all of it. It's if you get
But
up
like
that
you
high.
said, there's truth in the music, and it's like watching TV. It hurts you if you cannot
Yes,
decode it.
correct, absolutely correct.
But now I can hear things and go back and actually use them as learning tools.
Yes,
And
yeah,
teaching tools.
yeah. It's very true, especially like I said, underground bands, things like that, things that, don't really make the mainstream and the radios and the MTVs and all that stuff because, they're the bands that I liked when I was young, and then when they became famous and you kind of didn't like them anymore, you know what I mean?
Right.
You kind of were like, they sold out, and so I love to see kids just. Really what I like to see is them creating their own music because that's really what I grew up around. And
Well, and if you go, you can encourage that.
that's the plan. Absolutely the plan, get a few originals in that set, because, that's the imagination, the right brain, they want shut down. Yeah. That's why even these computers, making music on these computers, I can't stand it. You know what I mean? It's not, it doesn't engage the creative. You're just kind of pushing buttons.
I never liked synth music or any of that.
Mm-mm.
I prefer acoustic, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. I do too. You know, I love when even some of the old bands would break down and do an entire acoustic set. I used to love that. You know, so
Real about it.
yeah, I mean, you know, it's to me, what else are we going to do to save the world? You know what I mean? Just speak and encourage human behavior. You know what I mean? Instead of this robotic, you know, smart grid nonsense. Because, you know, if we continue on and they choose it, like you said, it's
It's getting to a point. You know, I see these people in China standing up.
I do too.
They have a ruthless government.
Oh
Yeah,
my gosh, yes.
Ruthless, do as we say or die. And they've
yeah,
been that way for centuries.
yeah,
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 that's true.
absolutely.
And they're standing up, and here these people over here, somebody commented, you know, the NSA came out and basically said, we got your data and we'll do what we want with it.
Hmm.
And this guy was like, the only time I've ever seen anybody upset was when they knew they had their dick pics. That's how shallow and stupid and insidious it is here.
Hmm. Yeah, it is.
It's heartbreaking.
It is. It's and it's a very accurate statement too. Really, if you think about it, you know.
Yes, and I mean, we do have the freedom to go down the street and to speak out and to do something about it. And yet, these people in China, you know, are wearing gear. It's costing them their lives. They're fighting it, and we, you know, it'd be
Yeah,
a lot easier to fight it now than after the whole thing is locked down.
absolutely. You know, you end up in a situation where you're a guy speaking out about the cops on social media, and then you're strapped to a chair. And again, the problem with it is nobody cares. Like they couldn't do that if thousands and hundreds of thousands and millions of people
And that's what
cared.
I'm
You know.
thinking too. I think, you know, what they'll do is pull those people in, and we already know they have those internment camps, re-education camps
Hmm.
set up.
Yeah.
I mean, in your community, somewhere in your community, we rode by and saw ours.
Hmm.
It's shocking. And the thing is, they've sold, you know, oh, these people are threatening our democracy, and no, the point of I would think a true democracy would be everybody's voice to be heard. And if there's
Hmm.
nothing to hide, there would be nothing at risk.
Hmm.
Yes.
Exactly.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
come on. If you were all above board, and the problem is the truth is what is threatening them.
Mhm.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that's
And
because
that a few people put down the distractions and found those truths and are telling them.
hmm
Hmm. Yep. Yep. And it's so clear that you know, if we were,
But I don't know why they feel threatened, because it's not working.
that's what I was gonna say. If we were so wrong, then why
I
you know
don't,
how?
that's what I'm saying. I think the point is to get the vaccination thing too. You saw the tweet where that guy came out and said they needed to be put in re-education camps.
Yeah.
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 And they're just leading up to it.
Snort.
Nobody's saying a damn thing
Sorry.
It's okay.
because it doesn't involve them yet. But what they
Yeah.
don't realize is eventually it will.
Hmm.
Eventually,
Absolutely.
it'll because of your opinion on this.
Yeah. On something
You're not
else.
standing out front like we are, but if our liberties are at risk, then so are yours.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly, and that's another thing that like Anna, which is a gold hard shell on Twitter. I mean, she points that out with many of her tweets. She says, you know, this is happening, and you know, she talks about other subjects, but it's the same thing. Like, you know, if no one speaks out about this, it's you know, it's no one speaks out unless it affects them.
Hmm.
That's the gist of what she, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I started speaking out for targeted individuals before I realized I was one.
Yeah.
So I get that. And, you know, that's another thing, there's targeted individuals and people ignoring that. And it's like, well, how long do you think it's going to be before that net widens to include you?
Right.
I mean, that's almost basically the story of everything, you know, our entire
Mhm.
history as to why things build, and then they get to a point where, you know, it could have been
Right.
fixed if people would have cared. And by the time it's built to, you know, where it is, they just have pit everyone against each other, you know,
Yeah.
Yes.
and then can mold the way it turns out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly, and that's why I post, like, stuff from everywhere. I don't just go to, like, just one website and that's it. I post about as much as I can because if it's
Yep.
people speaking out against like the Flint water situation or whatever. People might say, "Oh, that's too liberal. That's a liberal thing." It's like I don't care. It's
Uh,
a human thing.
exactly. And that's the other thing. If you're against war, you're a raging liberal. If you're, you know what I mean? Like everything has
Hmm.
a label to it. And I'm a man of no labels, as I'm sure you guys are the same. I don't, if something is
Right.
true, it's true. I don't give a fuck, what
Right.
it's perceived by in the propaganda world,
Right. And
Um,
that's common. You have to look at all sides
mhm,
of an issue to have an unbiased view and to discover the truth.
mhm.
You
Hmm.
know.
Yeah, and most people don't want to leave it. They have their opinions, and I mean, I don't want to say it hasn't gotten better because everything's so crazy, but I know a few years ago it was a lot more difficult to kind of, I don't know, have an opinion on Project for New American Century, but we're so far down the list now of all these countries that were named 20 years ago. It's like you're really choosing not to see it if you continue to support all this shit.
Well,
Every
right, and
country.
they are keeping it stirred up. That's why they have Mr. Polarity in office right now.
Yeah, I just.
It,
eh,
The
it,
orange one.
right. They they've upped the distractions. And another thing with Trump, while we're on that, Trump, okay, every president is a puppet, but
hmm
they do signify something.
hmm
And he, to me, signifies the bringing back of the old world order.
The ego, the
The old, well,
the Satan,
dictate,
so to
yeah,
speak.
yeah, and birthing what he's, saying he's against the New World Order. Well, technically he is because the New World Order is inverted, and really it's the old world order where you're all slaves
Yeah,
and
yeah,
just coming out with it.
and
So
they'll most
he'll
likely put him there to
basically
take the blame for it too. I mean,
quite possibly.
it's and then
Or to swing it hard the other way, as in over to Yang, Mr. Black Goo Boy.
right, because you do that, and then you use all that to bring in the socialism, the AI, all the nuts, and then after that, you want patriotic people, so you swing it back the other way, and it's
That's
just
it.
it's the same shit over and over and over again, and just people just they get mad when you try to explain it to them, and it's
If
you just
people knew who the true patriots in this country were, they would never call themselves a patriot.
absolutely, absolutely, and it's same thing like we were saying last time about religion. If people were to see, Jesus revealed himself today, they would all deny him. They don't want to leave their, comfort of they're going to fix it in government or
Oh,
God's going to
they,
fix it or,
they are so set up to accept the Antichrist as their savior. It's
yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah.
They'll never see it for what it is.
So many accounts say that too. I love, God, Jesus, and Trump. You know what I mean? It's like they're the complete opposites. What do you mean? You know what I mean? Like anybody in government, I don't care if it's Trump, Tulsi Gabbard, Michael Bloomberg, or any of them. Like
Oh,
it's the
Hillary.
entire system that the man spoke out against, and people can't get it through their head. They just think
Oh,
you have to
I'm
love
just
God and love your
I'm just gonna be that kooky person that throws out, "Are they even human?"
Yeah, no, I certainly believe they have a specific and different blood type, shall we say?
Yes,
I would agree
they
with that.
believe.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have that capacity for emotion. Well, how do you think that happens? You know what I mean? There's something genetically there blocking that.
Right.
And I know there's all the MK Ultra and all the things they can do to beat it out of the kids as they do in satanic families, but
And
it's
they also use them. I mean, Trump is only to his level.
yes,
He's also a pawn, and he might actually believe he's doing this or doing that.
he
And
may, yeah,
same with Putin, and same with Z.
yeah,
They have, if they let them know everything, they would have too much power. There's that small group, what the Committee of 300,
hmm
that
yep,
actually runs it all and sees the big picture.
Mm-hmm.
And then behind them, what is there?
Exactly.
I'm thinking another worldly.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And there's so much evidence to support that's not outlandish. I mean, military people wear patches that say none of your fucking business on it, and they're you know what I mean, and they're going into space. It's like, okay, all right, I got you. You know what I mean? Like, it's just there's so many
and whether you go with space or the dimensional,
right,
if people would stop getting hung up on all that, on the weaponized language.
Exactly, whether it's dimension, space, this, that. It's like we all mean the same thing. Yeah.
See the big picture.
We all mean the same thing. That part of the light spectrum that we can't see. You know what I mean? The 99.9 of it that we can't see.
I'm clapping for you, Tom. Thank you for bringing it up, because that was engineered that way so that you can't see.
Yeah. Yep.
You can't, if people think, and we'll go back because we've talked about that before, this is not new.
Mm-mm.
It's new to a lot of people because your educational system did not teach you true history. That does not mean that it's new.
Mm-hmm.
It's new to you. And basically, we've been genetically modified for a long time.
Yeah, the things.
I'm not going to go into years and stuff because I'll hear about all that shit.
No, I know, but the science exists to show how much of this is true. You know what I mean? I mean, we do it in labs now to animals and probably to everything else. So why is it so preposterous to think that another life form with more knowledge would do it to us?
Right.
It's that whole "we're alone in the whole universe" thing. That whole, that's another thing that people.
And that's another way it was done. We were placed on the top of the food chain so that we did think that.
Yeah. Because again, it's all a psychological game in the end. All of it.
Meanwhile, these things are feeding off of what we were engineered with, which is this emotional body. If you're happy, it feeds off of you. You're sad, it feeds on the loosh.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it's just now it's come to the point to where I don't even know. I just know that this force is moving into our world, and I do not consent.
No, I hear you. And, if you look at so many of the different teachings and everything else in religion, that there's so much that explains about, knowing the self, because like you were just saying, not having your emotions controlled externally so that, they can have the outcome or the frequency they want. I think it's Dr. Joe Dispenza that says, mastering your emotions is wisdom. Once you have.
That doesn't mean to be emotionless.
No, not at all. It means being in control of your emotions and understanding them and where they come from and why you're reacting the way you're reacting to certain things. Because from those experiences that draw emotions, once you can understand that, you now have wisdom. You can now learn from it.
Right. And with this next thing coming, if you don't have that knowledge yourself, you're not going to be able to discern what is you versus what is it.
Right.
I have had so many people come to me. I'm having thoughts of suicide. I'm agitated. I'm having heart palpitations.
Yeah.
That's that 5G coming through because the mind control is proven. It's there, and it's become so pervasive in the last couple of years to where you can think something and the next thing you know, it's on your phone showing you an ad for it.
Absolutely.
You thought, I need some new boots. Next thing you know, there's some new boots. What is that? Magic? Well, in a sense, yes, but in another sense, it's technology.
Right. It's exactly. It's learned science, and they've kept it and not told everyone.
It's magic being imposed. It's dark magic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because if you do something without someone's consent, if I'm in your head, Tom, even just me as a person, I'm doing wrong.
Right.
If I don't have your permission to be in your head.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody's asked my damn permission.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's asked me, do I want to be biohacked and hooked up to a fake internet of things? Nobody has asked me if I want to be sprayed over my head with a bunch of toxic ass chemicals. And
yeah,
no.
Yeah.
And to me, that's dark magic, and it's a big fat no for me.
Yeah, I actually like how Mark explains it when he differentiates like and dark magic and sorcery being the same thing as opposed to magic transforming with knowledge based in
Right.
truth, as opposed to using that to suppress it and manipulate, which he would then call that sorcery. And it's the same thing, like you say, dark magic, light magic. It's all the same concept, and it's all either knowledge or a lack thereof. Really, um, and people can't understand that that's what even their religious figures are telling them. You know what I mean? Like they're not saying just walk around and wait for me. They're saying you got to understand this, man, because you're getting fucked in so many ways. That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
And if you don't understand it, you're going to keep getting screwed. There's no magic way of pulling you out of this. You have to do
the
it.
thing we've talked about before is your connection to source. Like I
Mhm.
never could understand. Do you believe in? But what is there to believe?
Right.
I didn't understand that people didn't feel that connection like I did.
Yeah.
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 The connection to source,
Yes,
to the divine intelligence of the universe.
Right. And then have to
Undeniable.
personalize it to the point where my connection is better than your connection to where we have now. It
And
just makes no sense.
Or that you can only experience that connection in church. I get that
Right.
from my parents. I got that from my parents this morning.
Oh, yes. No.
So I hear.
Yeah, I know. It is.
I know.
It's turned into, and that's how they do it. Subdivisions, more
And the way
subdivisions.
you live your life is your religion.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
The way you live your life is how you honor God, your connection to source. For many years, and I'm not perfect, I learned the hard way. When I ignored that voice, I inevitably found myself in a mess.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And since I've learned to honor that and not dismiss it, my life has gotten exponentially better, even in the face of all this we're facing. The dark coming in here, I'm able to stand in my strength.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I
And,
agreed. I don't
I'm
think.
very grateful for that, because if I hadn't hit that wall and had the things happen to me, I would not have learned to honor that. I would have continued to. I look at it like being a child acting out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, well I hear your voice, but look at me, watch me. I'm gonna do this anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And then skateboarding down the hill and eating their face up.
Yep.
No, it's very true, and people I don't think realize how, again, as one myself who had to learn the hard way and go through trauma and, get back up and all kind of different things. When you go through those things, like most of the people that I do talk to that are awake have experienced those kinds of things. They're I don't know, going through drug phases, going through, loss, going through whatever it may be, marriages, whatever it may be. And what they've learned from that, when they've turned it inward instead of just pointing the finger at everything else, is what has, brought them into a better state of understanding, as opposed to just, all the people that kind of live through TV and social media and, they don't really have life experience, but they're full of opinions,
Right.
and they have the answers to everything, but they're judging everybody. What's that?
Can I get a source on that?
Yeah, right.
Oh gosh,
Source. The damn
question.
Yes, that drives me nuts the most. Source.
Well, maybe that's a direct a direct line to them not being connected to source. If they're constantly asking source,
interesting.
mark. Maybe I never thought about it.
Yeah, interesting
That's
play on
interesting.
words. Yeah, that is an interesting play on words.
I never thought about it that way, hon.
Me neither. I like it,
Yeah.
See, and again, those are the things that open up the mind to see those kind of things. People can't even understand that kind of etymology, gematria,
that is where
Greek language.
I draw the line there. Nothing comes between me and my direct connection to source. I will not have it.
Nope, absolutely.
You go, girl.
I'd rather die right now today
and
go back to source than to have that taken from me,
right?
Perverted or me locked into something away from source. I do not consent to that.
Nope.
I will not.
Nope, never.
will not do it.
Nope. And if enough people do that, this can't continue, but how many people really get what you're saying like we do,
Well, actually, Sarah, Sarah suggested a really interesting film to me the other day, and I saw it, and everyone should see it. It's called Cell, like
Okay.
like cell, like cell phone, but it's Cell.
Right.
It's from 2016, and yeah, everyone should see that. It's very appropriate to what's going on.
Okay.
It certainly is. And it also shows what I was going to say, how a few people just aren't affected. And they keep showing that. They keep showing that with The Walking Dead, with all these different shows where there are few survivors, right? And they have to group up. Think about who those people are. They're us.
Yes.
We're not, for some reason, I don't know the secret reason why we're not hackable. Maybe it is because we are aware of that. We've done some inner work where
that knowledge base has grown,
right.
Where
that connection to source, but they have shown you time after time something's going to trigger these people, and then there are going to be few groups of people who aren't triggered by it. And
their biggest nightmare is that growing.
And The Stand, Stephen King's The Stand is a good
example. I have to see that.
Oh, if you haven't seen it,
yeah. Didn't they do like didn't they do a movie like that in the 90s?
Yes, it's a series. Molly Ringwald was in it. But basically, what happens is everybody gets killed by what we see coming is a tsunami of evil. 5G, one out of two with cancer. Come on. That's not to mention the ones that go insane. Lisa's shown that with her research, and we found that test back from 1983 where they tested this same frequency that they're using. And remember, y'all, they're not turning off all the other frequencies either. It'll be 5G plus 2G, 3G, 4G, all the way up to 10G and the Z wave.
Yeah.
So...
God.
That
gives me a headache.
I keep telling people,
right?
My advice has been to people of late is that we're at that point where the turning. If you haven't made the turn, yes, I think a few can slide into home plate because I think, what do they call that? Like the quickening. I think people could just quicken in here. I'm not saying you're cut off and you aren't going to make it. But as far as us, we really need to focus on other people like us, helping each other. I've learned so much from everybody, and I hope they've learned from me about survival, tending to the soul, like Tom was talking about, knowing yourself, all of those things, because I hate to say it, but I don't foresee us getting through 2021 without some kind of major upheaval.
No, I would say, this year's,
I can't put my finger on it. I don't have a crystal ball, but my gut tells me, it told me last year, or, right at the end of last year, about a year ago, that this stuff was coming. And here we are facing 2020 with the IoT. We already know that we're all exposed to this nanotechnology. So I suggest, just change. And if you are going to stay on Twitter, change your game a little bit. Read The Art of War if you haven't, because when the enemy changes the game, you can't proceed along like you have been and think you won't experience repercussions.
And, knowing, like you said, what's to come in this year could range from, some of the things we've seen before as far as the economic crash and the destruction of the dollar and, the changeover and that's designed completely to have people run to government amid the chaos. Right.
So if you really do care about others, one of the best things you can do is be prepared. Water sources, have your water sources, have your, they are doing weird stuff with credit cards. Go ahead and get a little cash out because the system will run on cash for a little while before.
Yeah. and get a couple $100.
That ain't gonna work.
Yeah, you're right. And it will be only cash in hand. You're not getting it out of a bank or an ATM. They will all shut down.
As if it never existed.
Yeah. So some of those people that have food or been collective food or whatever they've been doing, realize that if everybody had a little bit and we weren't killing each other out there when the trucks stop, maybe this wouldn't work so much if we just have a little bit of realization that government's going to do what it did before.
You didn't see anybody asking for Christmas for a pack of heirloom seeds. They want tech.
Right, I wanted a roll of silver actually. You know what I mean? That's all I asked for. So you know what I mean? But it's you're right. Most people they're not, and that's why it's going to hit them. In such a panic, they're going to want to blame, and then they're going to want to say, "Help me, mommy and daddy," and they'll be there in the wings saying,
or they're going to because they haven't done the work and they're reptilian brain based.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then there's your zombie apocalypse.
Absolutely.
Bob Marley, I think it was, it said a hungry mob is an angry mob.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I think these purge movies have been about, actually, getting people, that subconsciously either willing to do it or put up with it or
It's funny you say that, Tom. A lot of people I went to school with and stuff that I have had this discussion because, like you said, it's a little bit more mainstream now. Mm-hmm. And people will talk to you about it, but that's where their mentality is. Yeah. Well, I'm going to go take out all these so-and-so. I'm going to do this. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay.
I've heard the same things said to me, like, well, I'll just do this or I'll just, and I'm just like, well, then they win. You know what I mean? Like, she's just that's we've done that before. It didn't work. We all killed each other before. You know what I mean? It doesn't work. It's that this whole revolution of consciousness. People think it's so new agey, but it's just being aware what the hell's going on and then not.
Yeah. So the snake doesn't need the tail one more damn time.
Yeah, exactly. It's.
And I tell you, I'm so over it. Hey, whatever, hit the button. Just let me out of here.
No, I hear you. Like I'm like I say, you always know. I hope but if that's what it's going to be, and this lesson needs to be taught again, well, more power to them. Have fun. I ain't fucking doing that.
Well,
you know what I mean?
I'm fine. Hey, and Tom, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. What is worrying me at a level that I cannot define is that these people, these things, whatever you want to call them, are trying to disconnect us from source and put us in this recycle machine permanently. Yeah. And I cannot have that.
Yeah, there's always been kind of an escape if you choose, but, not the way we're going. And people don't realize that, your kids are born and you microchip them. They'll never think for themselves ever. So how would they arrive at anything outside of what it's being told,
the sad thing is we're all being microchipped.
Yeah, exactly. And
the nanotech that we're being sprayed with, the smart dust is a sensor, so it'll sense the environment and send it back. We already have that. That's what our aura is.
Right.
That's why the natives kept their hair long, because it was an antenna.
Right.
We're hacking into that.
Yeah.
And smart cloud is going to take over our group consciousness.
Yeah, and they even had that in the Bible, with Samson, the Delilah cut his hair, and there you go. That his strength is going like boop.
Absolutely.
And that's.
Yep.
That's why I have thick hair, and right now it's weighing about 3 pounds on top of my head, but it's long.
Cool.
Yeah.
I tell you, that's the one thing I can't get down with that. I just can't. Mm-mm.
No, and if you,
I don't want to go further from source. If other people would like to take that journey, it's not for me to decide. Mm-hmm. But I don't want my right to decide that taken from me.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And that's just kind of.
I'm on a journey back to source, not away from source.
Yeah. Exactly,
And it's just like Babylon all over again. I mean, this has happened before. Atlantis. I mean, how many times? Yes. I feel somebody on Twitter said it to me in DM the other day. It's like the record skipping already. All right, change it.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, and people like just like I'm gonna be a little nerd. People just need to just watch like the introduction to Secret of Mana, and they can understand because people made this tech that angered the gods, and chaos happened. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, making tech is going away from natural tech. That's what people are like. There is good tech. Yes, in your environment.
Right. We're built with it.
Not
Yeah.
that you're going to build on a computer.
Exactly. We are already that tech, amazingly.
Exactly. And by using this, we're saying our tech isn't good enough. Give us the evil tech.
Yeah, it's a disconnect, really. I mean, that's where people like Michael Tessarion and Mark Passio say, get the old occult saying, "There's nothing new under the sun," because it is the same damn thing over and over and over and over.
And isn't the sun so patient with our asses? I was just reading that today, that there are no sunspots on the sun right now.
No,
and yet it's trying to give us time to get it right.
Yeah, no sunspots and a sky for the past 3 days that they've sprayed the hell out of up here, which has ran our temperatures up to almost 60 degrees in the end of December, almost January.
Oh, did you see in Southern California got snow and tornadoes?
Yeah, I did see the tornado warning that they
but of course, that's climate change.
Yeah, it's all of our cars and our cow farts.
They just came out too, you guys, and said, I know, Tom, you tell us when you got to leave.
Yeah, I got to get ready to go, but go ahead. I was just going to say that in a few minutes, but go ahead. Thank you, Sarah. I'm getting texts out. Did you leave yet? Did you leave yet? From people.
Hey, we don't do things often, and it's your birthday. Go do it and have a good time.
Yeah, no, finish your thought, though. I want to hear what you were going to say first.
Okay, they just came out. The U.S. government has approved funds for geoengineering research. My comment was, bah, ha, ha, ha.
Yeah, and all that excuse is to be able to do things like they did here today. The sky was a mess. Just
they got $4 million extra dollars of our money.
Mm-hmm.
They already fund it, but this is where our tax dollars go further to our demise. Are you kidding me, people? Wake the fuck up.
No, I'm actually.
And here on my Twitter, I'm reading a Florida statute from 2016 where it's called environmental control application for weather modification. And this is 403.311. And that's in the Florida laws. You pay them $100 and modify the weather. So get a clue.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's and they even brag that they can do that. I sent you a DM actually of a picture of my sky.
But they're telling the American public they're doing the research. Are you kidding me? Oh, come on, people.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
And that's what's so now that they're saying all that now it can just be a mess.
Texas PDLR in Texas, they meet. They have a what do you call those things? Oh, like a board meeting where they meet and decide what they're going to do.
Well, like shareholders or whatever kind of sort of.
Well, no,
like a corporation or
more like a county commissioner.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It's a weather board where they decide what weather modification they're going to do.
Oh, like Texas? I know Texas.
Yes, it's in Texas. Yeah. And look at the weather, how it's been there.
Yeah. Yeah,
Lisa, we didn't talk about that. Do we want to go on and talk or?
No, that's fine with me. I don't mind talking more.
Okay.
Nothing against Tom. Nothing against Tom. I mean, we love you, man. But,
no, hey,
if we want to talk more, we can talk more.
Of course, I wish I didn't have to go, but
it's okay. Have fun.
I do got to run out. Yep. I will go now. Let you guys keep going, but
Happy birthday, Tom.
Happy birthday, Tom.
Thank you. Good
friend, Tom.
Have fun rocking on, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a few videos too. You know what I mean, and see what post some of it. I love kids that are doing those kind of things. But but thank goodness for this, guys. I'm glad we keep doing this because I think it's a way to just be able to, instead of texting and like you said, with people being gone from Twitter and having to type all that stuff. We do need to do things.
We're grateful for you sticking your neck out and staying out there. If people didn't do that, we'd be lost.
Yeah, we got to be able to do things. And I don't mind posting this kind of stuff. This is us talking. It's free speech and we're allowed. And if people don't like it, then I'll deal with it. You know what I mean? I just, to me, I'm not getting on and trashing people for their thoughts and sending them barrages of DMs. You know what I mean? Like so that's what that's supposed to be for in any sane person's eyes. So we'll see how it goes. Because I don't think we do anything that is even off color. Really, we have our.
No, and I'm not saying that. I'm just saying
No, I know.
it's being used in that way.
Oh yeah, they will. No, they will. I know they will. But all you have to do is listen to us, and a lot of people, I think, maybe when they hear us, can kind of get themselves to kind of maybe realize, you could say these things too to people, to other people, start your own show, whatever, because as they try to take us away, we got to come up with other ideas.
Yes, and as old warriors leave, take what you learn and fill their shoes.
Yeah. So anyway, guys, I'll let you talk, and I'll see
Have
you
a
next
good one,
week.
Tom.
You too. I'll talk to you before next week, but well, actually, yeah, you, Lisa, I need your email, so you have to send that to me.
I emailed you. I emailed you the.
Oh yeah, right. We did exchange emails.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
It's okay.
I remember. Only so much can fit in there, in my brain. So, all right, guys, have a good night,
okay.
and I'll talk to you soon.
Have
Good
a good
night.
one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.